people, men especially, giving comments about how women should behave, at some of the most difficult seasons of their life, I think is very ignorant.
Happy Father's Day from all of us here at Indulge to all supportive fathers, male figures, mentors, and dads all over the world. Welcome to this episode of Indulge. Yay! And for the first time ever on an Indulge stage, we have a man. Yes, I know I told you stories for women by women, but what is the role of a man in how successful a woman is in her own personal roles in society today, in raising a child, in birthing a child? We cannot do it alone. I believe very strongly that no matter how strong a woman is, no matter how naturally it comes for her, God didn't ordain that a woman would do it alone. So welcome with me, with a standing ovation and a round of applause, my dearly beloved, most revered, darling husband, Testimony Adegoke. I had plenty things I wanted to say in my mind, but I just forgot everything. I'm normally not this,
I tend
looking for words. Which effect?
On you, I mean.
Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today. Not on the other side of the camera, making sure everything is okay and ready for me, but on this side of the camera. Thank you so much for all your support.
Yeah, it's worth being here, actually.
But before I turn it into a whole, appreciation, let's talk about you during our entire postpartum season, before postpartum pregnancy season. Let me ask a question that I ask every woman that comes. Normally, I would ask, how did you find out you were pregnant? But for you, I want to ask, what was it like when I told you? What was it like, that first feeling when I told you that we were pregnant?
Okay, I'm trying to look back a little bit. First, it sounded like film trick. I don't know. When you told me, I wasn't sure how to feel.
Yeah.
At first, it was a lot of things just happening at the same time, But eventually, I had to wrap my head around it and say, okay, wait, seriously, we're having a child. And honestly, it didn't become very glaring until I think we saw the first scan.
Yes.
That there's actually a baby inside you.
Yes. So apart from the discomfort, I think it happens even for women. Apart from the discomfort, it doesn't dawn on you until you see that
it takes
first scan.
a while.
At least in our opinion, in our own case, it didn't dawn on us until, whether me or you, until we saw the first scan.
Yeah, and even after that, I think it takes a progression until it becomes, even when you have a child, it takes a while to get used to the fact that, wait, you're somebody's father now. You're not just testimony of somebody's father. Maybe you meet one uncle and auntie, and then they now say, Daddy Marvel. I'm like, huh?
Who you
Who
that?
are you talking about?
Who that?
Okay, you know what? I'm actually someone's father.
Yeah.
So it takes a while to, get used to the idea, but I guess at first it can be overwhelming. Eventually you get used to it,
So we had a difficult pregnancy.
Whew.
And entirely, it changed our life. It's one of the most difficult days that we have gone through. What was that period like for you?
Well, one, surprising. I mean, when you go through that, they tell you after the first trimester, it's a morning sickness.
Yes.
But the sickness did not end in the morning. It went to afternoon. Went to evening. So it was unending. It was exhausting. It was difficult, and I think that the most difficult part for me was watching you go through so much. Every single day, and I could do absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah. You often mentioned that ability to do that lack of control. It was not
I
something.
felt powerless.
Yes, you mentioned that. I don't know how many times in my pregnancy that I heard that particular word.
I don't know. I felt powerless. There was nothing I had not tried. Is it prayer? I would pray.
Yes, we did.
Is it this? What are we doing wrong? For everybody else, it ends in the morning, but The nights we did now. This thing still no end.
And then the first trimester into the second, into the third.
Oh,
And
it
it was
was a lot.
particularly, apart from the pregnancy, it was particularly a difficult season for us in our marriage.
Yeah, a lot of things happened within that period. I mean, you had a lot of issues with your business during
Yes,
that
yes.
period, and I think you lost two branches at the time.
Yes, I did.
In your business, and so we were trying to keep up with a lot of stuff.
A
You
lot of
couldn't
finances,
work.
it was a lot. It was
Yeah,
a very dare. It was a very difficult moment for us.
and I
And then we
think,
got robbed.
yeah, we got robbed. That was what capped it all off. We
We
got
got robbed
robbed.
8 months pregnant. 8 months
Yes.
pregnant, we got robbed.
August last year,
Yes, yes,
we got
yes.
robbed, and I think it just capped it for us. We had been through so much already, and then the robbery just happens. Like, what are we doing wrong?
Yes, like what are we like? What are, like? I remember after the robbery, I looked, we talked about it, and then after you had left me in the room to get us some help because we didn't have our phones, we didn't have a vehicle at the time, and you had to leave me to get some help. And I remember asking God, God, is this all? Because I don't know if I can take any more.
I recall
It
that
was
as
a
well.
very difficult season.
It was.
How was it for you supporting me at that time, knowing that you often used to say that I'm the one carrying the child? I remember we had a conversation with somebody and the person said, your husband is doing more than you. Stop making it seem as if you're the one doing the work. And I want to know, what's your perspective to supporting your wife in, like, generally supporting a
Okay.
woman in a difficult season?
So I think I would start with I don't agree with that person
Okay.
because I still till now can't comprehend what you went through. I can't comprehend anyone going through that. It felt like unending sickness. You know, so I can comprehend it. I don't think, though I carried a lot of stuff, but I don't think it was comparable to everything that you went through. Starting with that. Secondly, again, for a man who has a pregnant wife, a lot of things are happening. I mean, we've spoken about some of the physical and the difficult parts. There's also the emotional parts. She's going
Right.
through a lot of stuff. Hormones are flaring up, all over the place and the likes, and you can't do anything in a way about it. But there's certain things you can do. The first is be present.
Okay.
I mean, your presence might not do much, but it's something.
Yes,
Be
yes, yes.
present, be available, and it was the best I could do at the time. I had to be present. There were times I had to take time off work so that I could be there with
Yes,
you.
yes. I remember you actively looking for a remote job the entire season.
I
Actively,
did.
my husband will send out 10 to 15, applications a
I
day. And
sent out thousands of
there was a
applications.
particular night that, because my husband will set an alarm and he never hears it, I'm always hearing the alarm. I'm the one always waking up to wake him up that your alarm has rung. And I remember that particular day, trying to switch off the alarm because we needed to get a little more sleep. And I just saw like 2 or 3 rejection emails in his email, and I just wondered how he kept trying. Every single day he kept trying, and it did something to my heart. He just wanted to show me how. It showed me how much he wanted to be present. It showed me how much he would do anything to change his current work experience just so that I was more comfortable. And while he couldn't take away the pain I was feeling, that just really encouraged me. So thank you once again.
Yeah, so pointer, look for a remote job.
If you can, if you
Yeah,
can, be present.
for me it was imperative, it was important because I saw what you went through. You needed full-time attention,
I did. I
right?
did.
It was so
Maybe
bad.
we should give them. Maybe we should give them a bit of what I went through so that they can understand why we're
Okay.
talking.
Yeah, so it was so bad we had to move from our house to your
Yes.
parents' house.
Particularly because I hated the smell of my house. It triggered
You
me to
hated the
throw
smell
up.
of everything.
Yeah,
like,
but I particularly hated the
house.
smell of the paint in my house.
Yeah.
So there was no getting rid of it. It's different from the
the smell of food and the smell
yes,
of
that you could just take it away. But
Yeah.
I couldn't take away the smell of the paint in the house.
I could smell absolutely nothing.
I could smell absolutely nothing weeks before.
So we had to move to your parents' house
Yes.
for a while because you needed the attention. One, you vomited practically throughout the pregnancy.
Multiple
They gave
times a day.
us multiple times is an understatement. There were days you vomited more than 15 times.
Yeah, so it was averagely between 12 to 15 times daily.
It was bad. You could not hold down any food, So we would go through a lot of trouble to try to get you something
And I
to
had
eat.
such a big appetite. I always wanted to eat.
I don't think it was a big appetite, right? Because you were not really holding down what you were taking in,
Okay,
right?
point,
So your
point.
body was practically starving,
Point.
and you needed to feed it. So that's why it seemed like it was a big appetite. But when you eat the food and then in less than 5 minutes it's out and you feel like eating again, it's because your body's actually hungry.
Apart from the fact that you always also make me feel good about things that I think I have, but you say I don't have it. It's okay, thank you.
I mean, I like that you think so, but that's not what's going on here. It's actually the truth, it was a lot to deal with. At some point, even though you were feeling very hungry, you didn't want to eat.
Yeah.
You didn't
I
want
was
to eat.
tired. Like
Because
I was
you were
tired of the
tired.
cycle. I was tired of the cycle of eating and throwing it up and eating and throwing it up.
And then there were foods that you enjoyed that you could not eat anymore. I remember one of our friends who bought us like a
bowls of
food.
ice cream and then bowls of food. Ice cream is normally my favorite food on a normal day. But even you buy me bowls of ice cream and I cannot taste it, something is definitely wrong.
I know. I can't forget this of father soup that this person bought for us. You took it the first time, you vomited it, that was the end. You could not handle it anymore.
No.
You could not. So it was a lot. You were vomiting. They gave you all sorts of meds, to
And
try
nothing
to keep
worked.
it down. Nothing worked. Some of them even had side effects on you. You had a blowout at some point. We had all sorts of things on your skin and the like. So none of that was working. At some point, they had to put you on drip because if you couldn't hold down any food, they had to just supply.
Yeah, so I was on drip
nutrients to
for a
your body
period of our
somewhere.
pregnancy. Breakfast, lunch, dinner was IV fluids.
Yeah.
And that was very difficult. We were so used to it. My husband knew how to change, the IV fluid when this one was done. We were so used to it. Recently, we were clearing out our room and we saw some bags of
We
IV
still
fluid.
have some.
And we just thanked God because the seasons actually do come and go.
They do come and go. If there's anyone who's going through this, not everybody has this sort of experience, but if there's anyone who's going through this, I think it's encouraging to know that it won't be there forever. It feels that way when you're there, particularly because you go through it every single day. Every single day. It's unending, but it will come to an end. It will pass. And you're going to feel better soon. Soon might not be so soon. You might not feel so soon, but you're going to feel better soon. I think take it as an encouragement.
It does get easier.
Oh, no. My wife went through a lot, and it's difficult thinking about it sometimes, but I'm glad we're out of that. It's also why I'm not thinking of having another child. At least not yet.
To Jesus be our glory.
I'm not thinking about that. People have asked me, I'm like, okay. You give me the child, you get the pregnancy. Because right now, I beg, we are fine with the one we have.
Praise Jesus.
She's a great child. I mean, it was worth it after all.
It was. That's another thing we should say, that as difficult as it is, the child is worth it. The child is worth it. Pregnancy is still worth it. Childbearing is still worth it. Anything that is God's idea, though it might be difficult, is worth it. 100% worth it.
It's worth it, but, it will take a while for us to get back to that point.
The emphasis.
It's important too.
Okay, so do you want to talk about any other thing that surprised you in the...
I mean, a lot of stuff surprised me.
Maybe we should take one more before we move on to the next.
There were lots of changes in your body.
Okay.
My wife has always been a very slim person. Look at you now, after your child. And then you were a lot bigger. I never thought it was possible.
Me
for
too.
you. I didn't imagine it in my life. And then there was also the parts where the baby bump and all that, the difficulties you had with sleeping. You had to sleep on one side, and even that one side was not comfortable. Hey, pregnancies, it will humble you. There were lots of surprises along the way. I think everything was a surprise because everything I had read that far was just theoretical. Experiencing it firsthand, it's a whole different thing.
But do you think that the fact that you had an idea from the things you read kind of prepared you for the season?
Theoretically, yes, but especially because of the unique experience we had, I mean, it was okay to know that, oh, so you should expect certain things, but I don't think anything can prepare you for the kind of experience we had. It was a lot. It was a lot, but I just knew in that moment that I had to be there for my wife. I had to strengthen her when she did not feel strong. I mean, there were times where you were like, I don't want to have this baby anymore. Those moments happened, and I had to be there. I had to comfort you. I had to tell you it's going to be fine, even when I wasn't sure it was going to be fine. It was something else. But I'm grateful that's behind us,
Yes.
and hopefully in the next pregnancy, whenever that happens, we don't go through
Progress,
that.
progress, progress.
I said whenever that happens.
But at least you said there is the like that's progress.
But it go.
All right, I want to talk, I want you to give some advice to young unmarried men that are going to be married one day. How to prepare to support your wife at stages like this.
Okay, well, I think it starts with picking a wife. Honestly, I think it starts with picking a wife. Pick the right person, but also be the right person. There's a reason I said that. There's a reason I said that because pregnancy exposes. It will expose your true nature, even if you were pretending and all that. Especially for both parties. For you, for example, times when you were extremely irritated, you were going through pain and all that. My wife could, out of hormones, give a reaction and all that. But because of who she was, who you were, you call me and say, my husband, I'm so sorry. I don't.
This just reminded me of Labor Day.
Labor is a whole different
In
story.
the middle of a contraction,
oh, Lord.
I can scream
My
and
wife
pull and
will beat me. She will. I'm sorry.
Wait, where did you go?
No vex.
But it's okay, no problem. It's in the past.
Yes.
And immediately after the contraction, what do I used to say?
I'm so sorry.
Exactly. Now it was the pain. It was the pain.
I understand. I understood that. I didn't think it was something you were doing intentionally.
But I beat him, Sha. Why?
And even in during the pregnancy, when certain things you knew that this was an hormonal reaction,
yes,
and all that, you would come to me and say, "I'm sorry." I'm like, I understand. It was actually nice that you were doing that. You understood that. Oh, I hope I didn't hurt your feelings and all that. For many women, it would be like, I'm the one carrying this child, so nobody should come and stress me. I will do whatever I want to do to anybody. You just take me as I mean, you're not wrong, honestly, because what you're doing is a lot. But it also helps when you have good character. There's a way you would relate with other people, particularly with your spouse. And from the husband's end, it takes a lot to take everything she's going through and be there for her, and also still take, tantrums when they come up, and begin to wonder, am I the enemy? Well, and all that, but slightly take the blame. You're the reason she's pregnant.
We are both the reason we're pregnant.
There is that, but it shows your true character. How you handle those difficult times. Many persons pick the wife. I know of a story of somebody who insisted the person is marrying must be very slim. And she'll get pregnant too. So what happens when she gets pregnant? Will you stop being attracted to this person? These things will get exposed. So which is why when you're picking pick a woman you love, right? And pick a woman you would love through all the seasons of her life. Okay? Because she won't be the same. During pregnancy, you were a completely different person. From every ramification. I mean, you were beautiful. No stories. I mean, no, my wife was the most beautiful pregnant woman. I will tell you that you were beautiful and the likes, but you were a completely different person from the person I married. So I needed to love you through that season. I loved every part of you in that season.
The aim
right?
of this this thing is.
All right. So it was something, and it's something that's necessary for some persons when this person has changed from what you were, in quotes, attracted to, because you were attracted to a particular feature in them, not to the actual person. And then you find that you don't feel attracted to them and all that. So you need to change, and you also need to pick right. You need to be sure that you're not picking based on things that can change. If you're picking based on things that can change, then your marriage is at risk. Okay? Because when you go through difficult seasons, like what we went through, your marriage is really at risk.
I saw a conversation that you had with one of your mentees. He made a comment about a certain woman's body change, in pregnancy, and how she reacted to her body change. She was talking about how um, she was big, but now she's slim. And then he was like, other women will say that that's how they are, but it's laziness. And then you immediately corrected him. I want to understand if for unmarried men, is there a mindset change that they should embrace before they enter into marriage?
Well, first I would say that if you don't know about something, don't talk about it. I don't want to say foolish so that I don't sound rash, but I think it's ignorant to talk as an authority on a subject you have never experienced and a subject you may never experience. Okay? People, men especially, giving comments about how women should behave, at some of the most difficult seasons of their life, I think is very ignorant. This person made a post and said something about how, some there are women who got pregnant. For example, this is my wife. My wife has given birth. She's a completely different size from what she was when she was pregnant. And some persons would see you and say, "Oh, it was because you worked hard. You worked." My wife didn't want to lose a lot of the weight she lost.
Honestly.
Let's be honest. Okay, people's bodies are different.
Very different.
Yes, I'm not saying there won't be extreme cases where certain persons would just hold certain habits and because of that their body doesn't change back. But sometimes people who fast, who would work out and all that, the body won't change. But I feel like it's very ignorant for someone to start making comments on a woman's body to say, go through pregnancy first. This person was unmarried. So like, wait till you get married. Have a wife, watch your wife go through it, and then come and tell me what you just said now. Because I felt it was very ignorant for you to do. I'm like, you're a very smart person, but this thing that you just said, please don't make any comment about it again. Okay, it's wrong for men to just open their mouth and say rubbish. Go and have a child first. All right, get pregnant. If you're saying, oh, because there's some men actually have comments like that about their wives. I feel it's very unfair. I feel it's very unfair because you're underrating what our body has been through, to produce a child, and you're just seeing it as because my mother did it, so you try it, then you know that it's not easy.
I think that mindset change is very important. Final words. What would you say to a first-time dad like yourself? What encouragement would you give? What do you wish someone would have told you at those difficult times?
What I wish someone would have told me. I think they did tell me. It just didn't feel that way at the start. You go there, all right. You go there, all right. And I think people react differently when major changes happen in their lives. Some persons tend to, react with anxiety and all that. I'm not that kind of a person. I'm a very calm guy, right? So I tend to approach a lot of things from a very logical standpoint when it comes to that. But the one thing I can tell you is this: if you marry right, one of the things I told myself while we were going through some of these trying periods was, I was glad that I never had to question, did I marry the right person? Why? Because I knew who I was marrying. So even when certain changes were happening, even because of the hormones and all that, I knew that, no, this is not my wife. It's everything she's going through, right? So know your wife. Let's start from there. And marry somebody you know. Because if you don't marry somebody you know, by the time you get into marriage,
Some things will shock you.
a lot. See, normally when you marry somebody you know, this will shock you. When you not marry someone you don't know, the electric shock everywhere. It will electrocute you.
Yeah.
All right. So when you marry somebody you know, when you know them well enough, when you see certain changes, you can still see the person you married in the midst of all of those changes. So I would say to you, marry well and marry somebody you know. Okay. And for the most part of it, be a good person too. Be kind. Okay, love your wife. It is your duty to love your wife. Young man, love your wife. If you are not ready to commit yourself fully to somebody, don't marry her. Okay, because it's going to take a lot from you than just, oh, she's a pretty girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your wise words.
Thank you
And
for
thank
having
you
me.
most especially for being with me through some of our most difficult days. You're one in a million, you're one of a kind, and I don't take you
You
for
leave me no
granted.
choice, baby girl.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. Since you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends, family members, and loved ones. They would learn something from it definitely. But you tell me what you learned in the comment section. Then like, share, click the bell button, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.